Hey, this is Noah, bright and early, as you can tell. I'd like to give a shout out to Brian and Sparrow in my comments. They gave me a suggestion, and I decided to run with it. They suggested that I check out the Stadia blog that posts updates frequently, and I'm glad that I did. Today we're going to do some coverage on the free games for next month, and I'm quite pleased with some of them. But I think it's interesting. When you go on the blog posts, as I was sifting through them, the pro games are usually the ones front and center on their image that they have plastered with the post. But with this one, they didn't. And I think to them, getting Madden was a bigger deal, even though it's not a pro game. So they felt the need to do that. That's interesting. I've had a number of instances where when I was going to go buy a game, I hesitated to do so for the thought that this game may become a pro game later, especially when it's not like the AAA $60 titles, as you would expect. But one instance in particular where that happened was they had the top-down shooter Tomb Raider game added to Stadia. Now, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool, but I found out there was two, and I discovered that the one that they had on Stadia that became a pro game was the sequel. It was not the first title, and I was a little bit like, ooh, I don't know if I want to play this right now. I want to wait for the first one. Because the first one wasn't even on the platform. Later they added it, but it wasn't a pro game, and I thought to myself, and it was pretty cheap too, I could have just bought it. I was like, I got that Spidey sense, you know what I'm saying? I feel like this is going to be a pro game later. Lo and behold, it is one. So perhaps I will add this to my catalog of games that I will complete for this year, because I beat the Tomb Raider trilogy on Stadia, and I was very pleased. And for the most part, besides the retro games that you can play, I think, on Steam, this is like it when it comes to the modern Tomb Raider games. Don't quote me on that, I'm not a big fan. Well, I guess I say I'm not a big fan, but like I completed the modern trilogy. I guess I'm a fan. Another one we're getting is Enter the Gungeon, which is a game I've heard plenty of good things about. So I'll definitely give that one a shot. Pun intended, I guess. Well, I guess it would be pun not intended, but we take those in retrospect. And then the last one is one that I have a particular nerve for, in a good way. It's Journey to the Savage Planet. And the reason why is because the company that developed it was purchased by Google to make first-party titles for their stuff. And so a lot of people kind of looked at them and they were like, you know, this is like your one game. You'd think they would have brought it to Stadia. And then they did. Bearing in mind that it was not originally on Stadia, it was multi-plat. But people figured, like, that doesn't really make sense. You should have it on there. So they fixed that. And it's a pro game, which is nice. But the reason why it kind of gets a little, like, exciting for me, in a weird sort of way, was the idea that it kind of gives the same energy as Bayonetta. Bayonetta 2 was, like, funded and published by Nintendo, whereas Bayonetta 1 was not. Due to that, it has this sort of energy of, like, retroactively, this game, Bayonetta, the first one, has sort of become like a pseudo Nintendo title, even though it's on all other platforms. So when I think of Journey to the Savage Planet, I sort of think of it as almost like the adopted, like, stepchild of Google. By no means is it actually, but it feels that way. And I imagine that'll come full circle when that studio finally pops out whatever they're going to do for Google, and I'll be able to be like, yeah, now we're here. Unrelated to this news post, I'm getting antsy about the Project Hailstorm thing, because I've been reading some people's suggestions of what they think it will be, and one person had suggested, like, that it might actually be a new game. You know, if it was a major first-party title from Google, they suggested the idea that the app itself having preparations in place may be in order. A reminder is that people ripped apart the app and they found some mentions of text that said a hailstorm is coming, or a Project Hailstorm and stuff. So people have been speculating. Most people suggesting that it's a feature, but some suggesting it might be the preparation for a new game. If they actually went all out and made like adjustments to the app with special types of announcements in the app for their new game, maybe okay, maybe fair. Maybe a little skewed in their favor, but it's their platform to do what you gotta do. One of those suggestions also linked this unlisted video on Stadia's channel, which I had never seen before because it was unlisted, where it's just this short, like 40-second thing, I think, where this woman is doing this, like, she's having like a conversation with this little fox. I would show the footage, but I'm like half tempted to be like concerned that like there's a reason why it's unlisted, like maybe I'm not supposed to have seen it. So I'm not gonna show it here. It's this tech demo of like machine learning AI while she's like talking to the animal. It's responding in ways that are like, logical. So I'm sitting here like, could it be that Google's first-party development studios are actually trying to use machine learning in whatever their major titles will be? That being said, if they come out with basically like Nintendogs, but the dogs are smart, you're a little disappointed, not gonna lie. On the other hand, you could also have it all the way up to being like scale-bound with complicated AI to actually understand what you're asking it to do using the microphone. I have a lot of ideas in mind. It kind of makes me wish I had the clout to be able to just tell people what to do, because I have no idea how to do things. But if I had the kind of money to just like fund a studio and get people to make games for me, and I'll just be like, yeah, I'm a director. It's like, you know how to program something? Nope. Not even sort of. If you like this video, give it a like, subscribe. I don't always cover Stadia, but I will cover Stadia just as much as I do anything else. I won't be biased for it. I will not be biased against it. This is Noah. That's Stadia. See ya.